Stream is starting in 3, 2, 1. Action! What up, everybody? We live, right? Are we live, Jason? No? Oh, are we live? Tyler, are we live? Okay, there we go. Tim Whitman, so we're live.
We're live. I got a notification. It's official. What's going on?
It is official. And today's topic, Tyler, is going to be listings. We're seeing them pop up over almost triple the amount they were popping up 2 years ago. So I wanted to talk about those and see how we can brainstorm maneuvering through this interesting market. But before we do that, how are you doing, Tyler? Good?
So far, so good.
You're eating something. What are you eating?
I'm just trying to, I just had a little half of my dinner before I hopped on here. So some, I don't know.
What'd you have to eat? I didn't ask like what meal you had. What did you have to eat physically? Like,
I don't even know what it was. It was like meat of some sort, beef something. I always ask my wife like what it is, and she's like, it's meat or it's like beef. So I never really know specifically what.
No seasoning, just beef, like no rice.
No, it definitely had seasoning. It had rice. I think it was healthy. I don't really know, but I think we're on the right track with it.
It was keto, right? For sure.
Probably not. No, I don't know.
Well, I'm guessing you did good. You're full. You're half full because you had half your dinner. Everything else going good in your world, in your neck of the woods?
Yeah, so far so good. We're growing. I'm excited for man, I feel like I feel like we have some good people we're running with that are kind of finding their way here, and I'm excited for it. I think the quality, I think on average the quality caliber of people that have kind of stuck it out to even get their start or take their next step this year. I'm pretty optimistic about it. I might be overly optimistic, but I just feel like we got a solid like group of people that like literally just started their journey with us in the last few months.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. I think you're on the right track. How many agents you have right now?
In the herd total?
Yeah.
300.
What? 300? Dang, son. That's pretty good. It's a testament of your strength and guidance for now.
Yeah, we got to keep forging the path forward, though. We got to keep building upon it and building the careers and lives and in the long terms, most importantly, too. So, that's a big piece of it.
For sure. All right. So our special guest, Mike, is showing up in about 2 minutes. I don't think that's him, but that's Rudy. Rudy's in the house. What's up, Rudy? What's up, Pedro G? I want to say what's up to everyone on YouTube. Chris Saeed, Tim Whitman's on both. Manny Oma, living in Bremerton. Is that Connor? Connor Borges? That's my man Connor. Built by Bailey's is in the house. I see Jason's in the house as my username. Christian's in the house. Braden's in the house. We got Prisma, Andrea. We got the full staff today. I like it. Everyone's in here. Anyone new, Tyler? Do you see anyone new? Any new faces?
I see Andrea. Andrea's here. What's up, Andrea?
Who's Andrea? She new?
Hello.
She will be very soon. We're in the process with it, but before we know it, she will be the newest member here.
Nice. It's like they do it at church, right? They're like, any new faces in the stands here? Anybody here? Oh, welcome. Oh, there he is. There's our special guest, Michael Blair. Anyways, I'm glad everyone's here and on time. Michael Blair, can you hear us? Nope. He's
I can hear you guys.
Oh, there he is. You at the office?
I am. What's up, guys? How are you? How's everybody?
There he is. There he is. The man, the myth, the legend.
What's up? How you doing?
Good. What's up, Tyler?
Good to see you, man.
You too.
Now we're going backwards. We're going backwards because of you. We already did all this meet and greet. Tyler had beef for dinner. Don't ask what kind of beef. He just eats whatever his wife puts on the table. Okay, and it's got lots of seasoning. So don't go backwards. Everyone's good, Mike. Okay, you're coming in late. You look happy. Tyler looked hungry. You look happy. You having a busy day? Good day?
Good day. I just went 2 hours straight training the team, so it was fun.
2 hours straight, then he's jumping in on here.
Yeah.
Guys, got to give this guy a follow on Instagram because if you don't, I'm not paying them. So pay them in Instagram follows. That's going to help all of us out. Okay. But today, Mike, I wanted to bring you in. You've closed, I don't know how many so far. I mean, it changes every week, but last I checked, you were about 230 closed transaction in your young career. Everyone knows your background. You've been on here before, but we're kind of in a interesting market, right? It's 2025. Interest rates hovered around 7% for the last 2.5 years. They're starting to trend lower, which is fantastic. But inventory is up, which means more listings and more options for buyers. And more listings means a couple things for real estate agents, right? If you're a buyer's agent, cool, you have more selection. But if you're a listing agent, you almost have to work now. 5-6 years ago, you got a listing, it was a slam dunk. You just take pictures, barely take pictures, put it up there, put it on the MLS, and it's sold over the weekend. Now we're in a challenging market where that's just not going to work. Nothing is really working for a lot of houses that are sitting on the market. Here in San Diego specifically, 45-day market time, right? Average. I don't know what it is in Florida. Houston, they look like they're having a good time sitting on market for a long time.
Longer.
Yeah. And so I can't speak for the other states. I just know for San Diego, we're having our own challenges, but it sounds like it's nationwide. There's some pockets that are pretty fast, but nationwide, people are struggling with their listings. So I wanted you to mention to the crew like your numbers and how many active listings you have, how many people you have on the team. And we're going to talk about just the listing presentation to start. This is a 3-week series, 4-week series. So we don't want to give them all the nuggets up front. You'll probably join us 2 of those 4 weeks, hopefully. Cool. But yeah, introduce yourself. I know I blew it, but go ahead.
Oh, that was great. I mean, at the end of the day, I've done a lot of transactions and that's cool, but what's more important is for you guys to take away something to help you do something, right? At the end, like it has to be something that you can implement into your business. And so from a credibility standpoint, yeah, I've closed a little over 250 transactions in the last 5 years. I run a team of just over 20 agents here in San Diego. And I haven't figured out if it's a good thing or a bad thing yet, but I currently still outproduce the entire team combined. So, for example, like right now, I have personally 8 escrows for our buyers for our listings in escrow. And the rest of my team also has 8. So we have 16 in escrow combined at the moment. But I still carry half of the team. And so part of my training today around that was around mindset, around skill set, and around action. And so I asked, my agents at the team today at the team meeting is, what do you think my mindset is carrying 8 transactions? And I have 4 active listings right now. And a lot of them weren't sure, right? Because maybe like some of you guys, you haven't been in that position before to where you have 8 escrows at the same time. And I told them a lot of things around my mindset, but one of them is I feel like I'm just getting started, right? Like I don't personally feel like 8 is a lot, and my mindset around that allows me to stay in production and stay prospecting and continue to move the needle forward. And that is just the mindset thing, right? For some new agents or for some even experienced agents that haven't had 8 escrows at once, maybe their mindset is telling them something different. And so I think that at the end of the day, to take more listings and more business, it does start with your mindset. And then that does trickle into your skill set. So if you have the right mindset to go attack it and figure out how to unlock new capacity and more capacity, then you have to figure out, okay, how do I develop the skills to be able to take on more business and convert more business? And so that's where having a good listing presentation is important, because it is a process and a system, and that system is meant to be able to be executed. And I learned that system is an acronym for save yourself time, money, energy, and stress, or something. And so if you can create a system that saves yourself time, money, energy, and stress, then you can really duplicate that system and continue to scale up and scale forward.
And then you said you're excited. I mean, you're just getting started, and I almost agree with you, right? And we all should just be getting started because rates are coming down. That means more buying power for buyers. And so if you have listings, you're in a good position. If you have buyers, you're in a great position. If you've been doing the social media, you've been doing the cold calls, you've been doing all the stuff that you're supposed to do the last 6 to 8 months, you should be in a just getting started position with some escrows kind of trailing in your pocketbook. And I'm excited for what's to come. But in terms of, you just signed a listing this week. Talk to us about that process and why you feel listings are. I personally think listings are like your paycheck essentially, right? It's your consistent income that you're going to get. You need to have 2 listings a month, 1 listing a month, because you know those are going to sell eventually, and that's going to pay your bills, right? Extra listing will help. An extra buyer here will help, obviously, but you need to have listings on a consistent basis, regardless of what market you're in. It just helps in general. But talk to us about the importance of the listing options and sides of it, and why and how you locked in this listing this last week.
Yeah, for sure. So one, on the importance side of it, I mean, as much as I can share with you guys, I would encourage you to focus on listings, right? Even though right now maybe there's a little bit more buyer activity or you have a little bit more leverage working with buyers, listings are more scalable at the end of the day. And you know, I can handle 8 escrows at a time and carry 4 listings at a time because the listings are a little bit easier to manage. I'm not running around showing houses, opening doors, writing offers, you know, counters back and forth, right? It's a little bit easier from a management standpoint. And then for some of you guys that I know that have teams on here, you can leverage your transaction coordinator or your assistant on the listing side of things as well. And so you have a little bit more leverage points on the listing side. As far as the actual process or converting that listing, it is one important to figure out what is that timeline and motivation. That is the most important thing working buyers or listings, in my opinion. And the more motivated the seller is, then the more, you know, hopefully they will listen to you as their real estate advisor or real estate professional to be able to price it accordingly and move on certain offers when those offers come in. The less motivated they are, the harder that becomes, right? So if they don't have to sell or they have to get a certain amount, or they can decide to keep it as a rental, or they can decide to have their cousin move in, right? Like you have a little bit less motivation, which means that it could potentially, you know, not pan out the way that you expected to. So really figuring out that timeline and motivation is important. And then using that to be able to move the client forward is also important. So in the example that Josh is mentioning, so I went on a follow-up listing appointment yesterday and we got the listing signed yesterday. But I had met with that client a week prior. They're a little bit behind on some payments, but they have a bunch of equity in the house. And so they have a couple options, right? They could continue to not make their payments and lose the house, or they can maximize the opportunity that they have right now, sell the house, take all the equity out that they have, rent for a little while, and then we'll help them buy another house. And so that is the plan that we outlined for them. And for us, in order to get their house sold for top dollar, we made some suggestions and recommendations while walking through the house. And so I do every listing appointment at the house so that we can make some of those recommendations and guide them to get the best results possible. And so they repainted a good chunk of the property. And then they are changing some flooring out on part of the property as well. And so that is, you know, ultimately what's setting us up to be able to list the house in the best condition without them spending a bunch of money to be able to move on to their next destination, right? And so clients like that are the best because they're highly motivated, they're coachable, they're willing to listen and take feedback and be resourceful, and then they're excited to move forward and help them get to the next destination. And by the way, we'll help them buy a house again in the near future. They just need to rent for a little bit to get their finances back in order and their family affairs back in order. So ultimately, that's the goal there. So the process is we meet with them for a seller's presentation or listing presentation. We go over the things that you guys see on the screen a little bit. You can go maybe a couple more slides.
Am I allowed to show this? I know this is like
Yeah,
something you've created over time. So
yeah, this is a little bit older presentation, but you can go a couple more slides. Let's see. Keep going, a couple more. So yeah, go over here, right here in the marketing plan. So ultimately, my objective is when I meet with a seller at their house, the first thing I want to do is a walkthrough of their property. And that allows me to make some notes and understand what we're working with, but also allows me to have some conversations with them about their house, right? And so I can say something like, if you had an extra $10,000 to spend on the kitchen, what would you change? Right? And by asking that question, it will allow them to have buy-in that the kitchen, it maybe isn't perfect, right? And so instead of me saying, oh man, this kitchen sucks, you can say, well, if you had an extra 10 grand, what would you do to the kitchen to make it better and make it more functional, make it more appealing? And they will tell you, right? And you can use that when you're going through your presentation and your marketing plan and your pricing. And so that's my first step, is to go through that, and then sit down with them on the table, a kitchen table, typically. Usually have them next to you, opposite to the left or to the right, so that you're not directly across from them, so it's not confrontational, and go through the presentation. So there's a lot of slides on here, but ultimately I want to build some relationship and rapport with them. So in the presentation, we have some information on our bio, we have some testimonials, and then we talk about the marketing plan and the business plan a little bit more of how we're going to get their house sold. And then at the end, we go over the commission packages. So our team has 3 commission packages. We're actually adding a 4th package at this point, because we have some additional marketing and some additional things that we're leveraging at this point. And so we're adding a 4th package. But those packages start at 2.5% commission, and then they go to 4% commission. And so in the presentation, we kind of just roll the end of the presentation into the commissions, and we let the seller choose what they would like as far as our services are concerned. So I can share that part if you'd like, or I could walk you through kind of the selling process of how, like that slide that Josh had. If you want me to walk you through how I explain those things, I'm happy.
So I have 2 questions for you, right? My question 1 is to the group. There's 23 of you. Hopefully a couple of you answer. But how many of you guys have a listing presentation? Just anything of any sorts? Like, how do you walk into a listing appointment? Are you just dressing up nice, unbuttoning a couple? I know Brian's coming in with his buttons down. He's got 3 or 4 buttons, get some cleavage showing. That's how he gets his listing. Like, what's your actual game plan when you walk in? Do you guys need a copy of this, or, well, a show of hands, how many people actually have a listing presentation? Okay, we got a couple. Okay, I think it's necessary. I think something like this is mandatory. I know during our visit with the seller last week, Mike, you popped this up on your laptop. It wasn't like you printed it out and made it fancy. You could probably do that, depending on the property, right? If it's a higher end property, you might come in with a mariachi band and a PowerPoint presentation and a suit and tie. But for this specific transaction, you came in with your laptop, your briefcase, you popped it up, we sat down, we reviewed it all, and there was no, honestly, there was no hesitation about them using you at all. There wasn't like, oh, let me think about it. I think constructive criticism, you didn't have the listing agreement there, right? Do you recommend getting it signed then as well? But at the end of the day, she didn't ask about commissions. She was already set in stone that we and you were going to serve her with whatever her needs are. And so I think that's why it's important to have this presentation handy. So for all you guys, if you don't have one of these, I know Mike will help you guys. I'll help you guys. I have a template already built out for you guys. So just email me or DM me, and I can get you guys at least one that's created for you, and then you can kind of tweak it as you go. I know with AI, you could do one yourself. Like, you just plug in Canva to your chat GPT and let it go. But there's ways for you to really step up your game in the listing side. And you guys are all going to get more listings. So I want you guys to be prepared, because this game's not a buyer's market, a buyer's agent market anymore. Like Mike said, you don't want to drive around, show houses. I mean, Mike has buyers too, but he had one driving in Pine Valley, which is like an hour out. Like, he doesn't He doesn't want to do that. He will do that, obviously, for his clients. But imagine if he had 4 or 5, one in Pine Valley, one in Orange County, one in LA, like one in Spring Valley. It just starts to add up. And that's why I think you got to get 2 or 3 listings under your belt per month so you can kind of balance your life and your workload. But reach out to me if you guys need a copy of anything. Mike and I will help you guys develop it. I know Tyler will help as well. But talk to us, Mike, a little bit more about kind of the commission structure. You need to share your screen.
Yeah, if you could let me share my screen, I could share that with you guys.
Mike, Tyler, you know how to do that? Because Josh is old, bro.
Yeah, there you go.
There you go. Oh,
cool. You guys see that okay?
There you go.
Yeah.
That looks good.
Yep.
Cool. So this is the listing packages that we have. And essentially, depending on the client, depending on the scenario, I actually usually talk them out of the platinum package, right? And how I do that is depending on what they need. And in this particular case, they already had cleaned the house and they didn't need staging. And the condition of the property is a condo. And so they didn't really need the home pre-inspection. And so I talked to them more about the silver and gold packages and what the differences were. Ultimately, the seller chose the gold package, which is 3% commission. And that just includes additional marketing and additional marketing efforts. And so that allows us to get more exposure to their property and ultimately get the house sold. And so my questions to them are around what's most important to them, right? Getting the house sold and getting the house for top dollar. Then I can guide them to be able to choose the best package that fits what their goals are.
And sorry to cut you off. You said you're adding a 4%. What are you calling that one?
Yeah, so on the 4% side, it's going to include a couple other things. Like in the brokerage that I'm with now, we have a couple other just online tools and marketing tools on the luxury side of things. And so we're adding a 4th package at 4% that will include like digital billboards and some digital campaigns, and then some enhanced marketing collateral, print collateral, things like that. So that's kind of for the unique client that wants that next level, not only experience, but exposure to be able to market the property. So
what are you going to call it? You're going to call it the Josh package, the Mike package, like the don't buy real estate package? Like how can we brand this? Do I get naming rights?
Yeah, whatever you want. We'll put it on there.
Yeah, we got to think about that. Think that through. So dang, 2.5%, 3%, 3.5%, 4%.
Yep.
A lot of people just go with the 2.5. Some people are going 2 right now. They don't want the fight. I spoke to an agent yesterday, and he's like, honestly, I'm going 2%. I don't want to fight. I don't want to negotiate for that extra half a point. Yep. So why and where do you get the courage to ask for more? Is it just your worth, or what's your actual game plan?
Yeah, I mean, for one, that's part of the fun. Like you're not negotiating, like you're not having fun in this business. So that's one. I mean, you got to enjoy what you're doing, but at the end of the day, like I'll ask you guys, would you rather take 3 listings at 1% each or 1 listing at 3%? And for some, you might want the volume, but for me, I'd rather have all of them at 3%, right? Because it's the same amount of work. And so if you can show that you get results and you have a proven system and strategy, then you're going to earn the right for 2.5, 3, or 3.5, or 4% commissions. And so all my commission packages, they are intentional, right? And I believe in what we do. And I have a pre-listing packet that I will give to clients, especially if I had met them before or we had some preliminary conversations. And in that pre-listing packet, it talks about the 1% agent, right? And if they're looking for a 1% agent, like that's not me. If you're looking for results and you want quality experience and sell it for top dollar and you want to walk away with the most amount of money possible, it's actually not paying 1%. It's hiring somebody that knows how to negotiate and fight for themselves, because that's who's going to fight for you too, to be able to earn the top sales price. And so at the end of the day, your commissions are also a reflection of how good or bad you are as an agent. And so if you're offering 1%, again, there's nothing wrong. Again, if you're executing at 1% or 2%, by all means go for it. But if you're not sending 200 to 500 mailers because your commission's so low, like you're gypping the client, right? You're not creating enough volume of exposure for them because you're being, for lack of better words, like you having a limited mindset around your skills and your ability to help them get a house sold. And so for me, it's typically 3.5% for almost every client. And it's because I know when we add these additional layers to it, it does create more exposure and more opportunities to find the right buyer. Because at the end of the day, the seller is hiring me to find the right buyer. And how do we find the right buyer? We need as much exposure and marketing and attention on this property as possible, right? They're not actually hiring me to sell the house. They're hiring me to find the right buyer that's willing to pay for the house. And so I need 3% to be able to execute at a high level, to run ads, to create really great content, create really great videos, to stand out amongst the other bunch of listings that are in that zip code or in that neighborhood. So we have to capture that attention. And so for us, we just have to learn how to communicate that and communicate the value, and then ultimately communicate how does that affect the bottom line, right? Because that's what's most important, is what is their net? What are they walking away with? And so you have to be able to articulate that by actually paying a higher commission to a top agent like me, we are actually vested to make sure that you walk away with the most amount of money possible as well. Versus by paying a low commission agent that doesn't know how to negotiate for themselves, they're going to try to get any offer on the table to be able to get a deal done so that they could walk away with a little bit of money and not actually execute and put your best interest forward to be able to allow you to walk away with the most amount of money possible. Right. So,
and to be honest with you, I mean, I know we all talk about inflation, but things aren't cheap anymore. I mean, at the end of the day, photos cost money, drones cost money. People still need to survive, and so do you, right?
yeah.
I don't think people understand that on their end. You could take a lower listing, but you're going to be the one suffering. And I think people on the other end, if you're a seller, they understand that things cost money to do. And if they want to go with a discount broker, they can. But I think you have this package set up to attract the right people as well.
Yeah, for sure. Because at the end of the day, it's, what is your mindset towards executing for that client? Right. And so if your mindset is, man, if they're paying me 3%, right? In our world, we sell $1 million houses, right? Like hotcakes. And so 3% is $30,000. So I am way more committed if my seller's paying me $30,000 than they are, $20,000 or $10,000. If they're paying me $30,000, I'm hiring the best photographer. I'm hiring the best videographer. We're going Twilight. We're going scripted video. We're going 3D tour. Like there's a lot of other things because the guy's literally paying me $30,000 to execute at the highest level possible. If that same guy is like, well, I'll pay you $500 or $5,000 or $10,000, man, my high-end photographer, videographer, they cost me $1,200 to $1,500. So if the guy's only paying me 10 grand, that's already $1,500 off the table. And so now I'm starting to diminish my ability to execute for that client. So I have to get 2.5 to 3% to get them the best results possible.
Yep.
So
yeah, I agree. I think you're right on track. I mean, everyone should be hearing that. I have an interesting question for you. Would you take less than the silver package?
Yeah. At the end of the day, you take the listing, right? But you have to figure out what is that scenario and what are your standards of when you would actually take that listing, right? So that's a personal choice. The answer is yes. I've taken a bunch of listings less than 2.5%. And what was the reason or what was the intention behind it? And so for some of those, it was a particular client, right? Maybe they're an investor client or somebody that I already do a lot of volume with or a lot of business with. Sometimes it's a favor, right? Maybe they're, unfortunately underwater and either it's going to go short sale or we take a hit on the commissions. And so we have to do what we can to make it work. At the end of the day, what I found is whenever we do take a discount, seller in this scenario knows it, and it always comes back to me multiple fold, right? Whether they buy another house, they do another deal with me, they send me a referral. And so the answer is always going to be yes, take the listing, and yet only do that after you fought for your value and you did everything that you could to execute at your standard.
Yeah, don't just settle right. Don't just take the first yes like the other realtor who's like, I don't want to fight. I'm taking what everyone's giving me at this point. We have a couple questions. One from Andrea, one from Jace. Andrea, you have your hands up. What can we help you with?
Yes. So when you, let's say you have $1 million listing and it's for 3%, and yeah, you're expecting that 30,000, but I understand sometimes like certain houses on the market sit. And so in that case, when you sign that contract for that 3%, like where does the eating the cost go into that if, by the certain amount, the house doesn't sell? Like, has that ever happened to you in your experience? And what do you do to mitigate those kinds of costs?
Yeah, that's a great question. And yeah, I mean, I wish I could say that I sold every house, right? And unfortunately, that's just not the reality. And so that doesn't happen. So there has been times to where we've eaten the cost. There has been times to where a seller recoups the cost of the marketing because they decided to keep the house or whatever the case was. So I would recommend having some of those conversations in your listing presentation, right? Especially if you're pricing the property too high or above what you think it should be listed at. And so figure out your future strategy when you're listing a house. And so for us, typically if the house sits on the market for 3 weeks and in that third week, there's less than 5 showings, then that shows that there's probably a pricing issue. And so we communicate that in the listing presentation so that they know by week 3 to week 4, if we're getting less than 5 showings, then we're not getting enough activity based on our price point because we are already executing on the marketing side, right? We've already done the photos, the videos, the ads, the mailers at that point. And so now it's a price issue. So there's only really 2 reasons why houses don't sell, right? They weren't getting enough or the proper exposure, or the price is too high. And so we eliminate that first objection already by doing the marketing. And we share those numbers. I share a Google Sheet with a lot of my clients that shows stats on views, on Redfin, on Zillow, on homes.com, views on social media, and then how many people came to the open house, how many people were private showings. And so we share that live sheet so that there is no excuse, right? And so when 3 or 4 weeks come by, then we have that conversation. Hey, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, these are the numbers. We talked about this early on, and it seems like we're experiencing that at the moment. What would you like to do at this point? My recommendation is to reevaluate where we're priced at, and we're going to go from there, right? And so, and then the price reduction for us is typically about 5%. So if we're on the market 3 or 4 weeks and we're getting less than 5 showings, then typically we're going to reduce about 5 to 7%.
And that's automatic? Sorry.
Yeah, it's part of the formula, right? At the end of the day, it's ultimately up to the seller, right? I don't really make any decisions for the seller. I'm just going to give them my feedback and give them the stats and the data, and then we can ultimately decide from there.
Sorry, Andrea, I cut you off. Go ahead.
No, you're good.
No, you're good. And so when you don't sell it though, like I know somebody who's trying to sell their house and decided that they didn't want to, and she's just going to let the contract run without telling her realtor. So me, as somebody coming into this, I'm just like, whoa. But I also like, what happens in that scenario? Like when you do have to eat the cost and you can't prevent it because you have a seller who decides that they don't want to sell, but they don't tell you.
Yeah, I mean, I would say one, if the seller's not telling you, you haven't built enough rapport or relationship with that seller. And so in my opinion, again, I don't know the scenario, so I don't know who's involved or whatnot, but if my seller was doing that to me, that's my fault. Right? And so there is some ownership there that needs to take place. It's either communication or lack of, effort or marketing or something there that's missing. So one, I would make sure that the agent, takes some ownership there if they're aware of that. 2, if that is the case, right, and they're just like, hey, I need $1 million or we're not selling, then I would have that conversation up front. hey, Andrea, it's my job to do whatever we can to get the house sold. Our strategy works 99% of the time, and we get the house sold over time. And in the event that it doesn't work and we don't get you to your results, is there a way we can recoup the marketing cost? Because I don't want to skimp out on marketing thinking that we're not going to sell this house. So I'm going to go all in on the marketing costs. But in the event we don't sell, are you open to recouping the marketing cost if you decide to keep the property? And I would just have that conversation up front, right?
Thank you so much.
Yeah. Good
And
question.
I mean, we can be transparent on this call, Mike. I mean, I do that to you all the time, right?
Yeah.
There's properties that you can't sell for me. You
For
eat
sure.
the cost. You haven't really, I'm going to obviously give you deals and send you everyone I can. So I'm not like a typical seller, but I'm an investor.
Yep.
And some of these listings just don't sell. But to take it a different step, you maximize exposure on every listing, anticipating that you're not going to recoup from the transaction, but you're going to recoup from the open houses. I know from just sitting in on the open houses at Galveston and some of the other properties, your team has gotten leads and you've recouped that way. So that's another angle to kind of think it through. I don't really care too much about the seller. I care about how like as an agent, how I'm going to leverage that listing and get other deals done through that agreement that I have with them.
For sure, 100%. So for any of you guys working with investors like Josh, right? Every investor will have a number of where their threshold is or what their goal is, but also what their break even is. And so sometimes I know that number going in, whether it's Josh or other investor clients, but sometimes I don't. And so at the end of the day, I don't let that dictate how I operate. And so at the end of the day, if we get a listing, we're going all in and executing on the listing. At the end of it, if it doesn't sell for what that investor needs to sell it for, then I don't count that as a loss. Like Josh said, we maximize that listing to create more opportunities. And so I know that going in, and I have a tally. Josh owes me like $382,000. No, I'm just kidding. But like it is give and take, especially when you're working with investors, right? And fortunately for me, I've been down this path before. I've sold hundreds of investor properties, and they don't always sell or they don't always pan out. And sometimes they keep it, sometimes they Airbnb it, whatever the case is. And so I mitigate the risk on my end by executing at a high level so that we make up for it, right? And we have those conversations around, okay, well, obviously this one didn't sell. You didn't make money. We didn't make money. Like we're all kind of losing here. What do we got to do to get another deal in the pipeline and to make up for that loss? Whether that's a new buyer, a new listing, or a new flip, right? Let me help you get the next one. Let me fight for that better margin, and so we can make up for it on the next one. And if you have those relationships with the investors, like I do with people like Josh, I'm not worried about one deal, right? I'm worried about, or I'm focused on doing a lot of deals, right? Okay, cool, Josh. Like, hey, this one didn't work out. I wish every flip and every deal worked out, but it didn't. And so what are we doing about it? Are we going to go get 10 more? Right? Like that's the conversation that I typically like to have with the investors. And Josh and I, we've done multiple deals. So if one doesn't pan out, we're both taking a loss, and then now we got to go get another deal, right? It kind of creates some new motivation to go make some other things happen.
Yeah, it's a business, right? You got to operate it like a business. I don't think Tesla cares if they lose money on one car. They're looking at the next client. They're looking at the next product. Amazon, same thing. They're not making money on every transaction. So you just have to operate like a business. We have like 15 minutes left and we've sidetracked to questions. So we'll get you next week as well. But I have Jace's question. He's usually pretty talkative. I don't know why he typed this one out, Jace, but it's okay. He's in a smaller market. What made you decide you needed to structure this the way you did? If you do take less, do you remove features? Is this, I'm guessing this is part of the listing package. Jace, you want to jump in? Nope, he's on mute. There he is. Hello? We can't hear you. You look good. You look good, but we can't hear you.
Yeah, I mean, I have a kind of an idea of the question if the mic's not working. Yeah, I mean, I'll ask them what they would like to be removed from the package, right? If they say, "Hey, Mike, you know what? Another guy's going to do it for 2%, but they're not doing all of these things. Is there any way that you could do it for 2%?" then my response to that would be, well, one, the answer is yes, I can do it at 2%. And my proven strategies are at 2.5% and 3%. And so I can no longer guarantee the effectiveness of all of our strategies if we start cutting things out. So what would you like for us to cut out to get down to that 2%? And they might say, well, take out professional photography. And obviously we're not going to do that, right? So I'll educate them on why that's a bad decision. And most of the time I'll get them back up to 2.5% or 3%. Right? Because once they start going through line by line and saying, well, I don't think we need the 3D tour. Well, I have a objection handler for that. Well, in the event that there's some out of state buyers or interest, wouldn't you want them to be able to walk through the property so that they can have a good idea of what they're going to be dealing with because they can't see it in person? Cool. Well, that's why we do the 3D tour, and that's why it's in my package, because in my opinion, it's been really effective, and we've actually closed deals with clients that weren't even in the city, and they bought it sight unseen because they were able to go through it with the 3D tour. So as long as you can handle those objections, then you should keep it. You should, keep it in there. But in the event they want to eliminate something like the mailers, for example, cool. Well, we've gotten a lot of calls from our mailers, and that actually drives more attention and traffic to the open houses. And yet, if you don't feel like that's necessary, we're happy to remove that one for you. And we can drop down to that 2.5% or 2.25% if we're just eliminating the mailers part.
Yeah. Now I got one more question for you. I'm back. Mike's working.
Good.
There we
So
go.
San Diego, real sophisticated market, sounds like bigger area. Where I'm at, I look at what these agents are doing. I search Facebook ads. I got 2 agents pushing ads out.
Cool.
Like, it just seems to me like a lot of that stuff at a lot of cost, and I guess you're messing with a higher price point. Like for us, we're averaging probably $330,000 homes out here. So I look at that, and then I just wonder, is it advantageous if the market's not requiring it to incur those costs compared to what the other agents are doing? Because that's my competition.
Yeah, for sure. At the end of the day, I mean, that's a personal branding and business call. I'm all about investing into it, into the business and into other ways to get exposure to the property, because it does also give me personal branding exposure as well. So by me marketing that, even if it's $5 a day or $2 a day on Facebook, it is still exposure, and it does still separate me from other agents, right? So in the listing appointment, if they're interviewing other agents, which does happen, I'm in San Diego, there's 20,000 agents in San Diego, right? And so chances are they know another agent. And so when I'm up against another potential agent, then I'm going to show them what we do on the commission side and what the offering is, what our marketing plan is. And I'm going to figure out what separates me from that other agent, right? One of the main things, and Josh knows, on this last listing, I bring what's called a listing power pack. It's 188 pieces of print marketing collateral. To my knowledge, I'm one of the only few people that actually bring 188 pieces of marketing to somebody's house to show them why it matters to have print material, right? So that one thing, in addition to a Facebook ad and some of my videos that got 50,000 views and a bunch of other things on social media and track record, all of that stuff combined makes me really unique. And so I get to stand out amongst even some of the best agents in San Diego because I do have other things that they don't have. Facebook ads could just be one of those things, right? So when I'm talking to that potential seller and they're considering somebody else maybe, then I'll ask them, hey, you know what? I know we talked about the marketing plan, and you told me you were up against, John Smith. And I looked up John Smith, doesn't seem to have a very big social media following. And I looked up his business Facebook page, doesn't look like he has any ads running. Wouldn't you want an agent that understands marketing and social media to be able to list your home? And they're going to say yes. And so right there, I separated myself from John Smith because I have an ad running, right? Here's the exact ad that I have running, and it generated 23 leads. I can show you the spreadsheet or download the leads list without giving you the names and phone numbers. And how is John Smith doing with his Facebook leads or Facebook ads, right? Is it generating interest? And by just having that, it separates you from the other agents. And so even though in your market it's not needed or required, in my opinion, it separates you from other agents. And so it is a value proposition why they should hire you. Cool. Good
That's a
question.
good answer.
Yeah.
Thanks, Jace. We got about 9 minutes left. Any other questions while we're on the Q&A side? If not, Mike, the whole point of this day one was to talk about listings and why they're so important. Where do you see the market heading at the rest of 2025, knowing that interest rates are probably going to be anywhere from 6 to 7%?
Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, I'm a little bit different, right? I don't really pay attention to the market as much as people might think. Obviously, I have a pulse on the market, but at the end of the day, that doesn't dictate my activities. And so for me, I focus on getting better, right? I say this quote almost every training, but don't wish it was easier, wish you were better. And so I don't really care what's going on in the market. The market is the market. I have very little control over that. I do have control over me getting better, over me implementing better tools, having better communication skills, having better strategies. And so I focus on those things. And in today's market, when it's quote unquote challenging out there or the market's tough, what does that mean? Maybe it's tough for you, but for me, I just focus on getting better. And so, I know it's not maybe the answer you're looking for, but I really don't care what the market's doing. People will need to buy and sell houses, and I want to be the person that helps them do that. And so in order for me to be the person that helps them do that, I got to be better than everybody else so that they want to hire me and work with me when that big decision comes.
That definitely wasn't the answer I wanted, but we'll take it for now, Mike. It was a good answer.
Yeah.
Let's give them one tip before we leave on how to get their next listing. Is it this listing presentation? Is it having rapport, having a relationship? What do you recommend? They get a listing appointment. What's the one tip until they see you next week?
Yeah. So if you get a listing appointment or to get a listing appointment,
we all know how to get them. I think, I don't know, maybe I'm wrong. We can talk about that. We all know how to get buyers and sellers. Some people just don't know how to close buyers, find them the right property, and some people don't know how to close sellers. So let's just assume we all 23 of us know how to get a seller. What is the one tip to close them at the listing appointment?
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, I would say, again, the unorthodox tip that I would give is listen to that seller, right? The seller that we signed that listing agreement with yesterday, and Josh mentioned I didn't bring the listing agreement last week when we first met them because I didn't have enough rapport. I never spoke to that person prior, right? So I'm not going to I'm not going to show up guns blazing, right? And so I show up to listen, to understand what is the scenario and how can I actually help you? And do you want to know why they actually hired me and didn't even consider any other agents? It's because she felt like I actually cared about her, right? At the end of the day, she's been getting the runaround from, she missed some payments, the lender, they're trying to take her house and all these things. All they did was really care about their situation, obviously show them that we know how to execute, but really just put their interests first. And I think a lot of times we're going in there with our own intentions of like, okay, I'm going to go in, I'm going to deliver this presentation, I'm going to use this tactic to close them at 3%. It's like, well, did you even listen or care about what they actually wanted and needed? And can you actually help them get there? And that's really what I focus on. All the other stuff just helps move the process along and shows the professionalism of the process. But people hire me because I have a relationship with them and they genuinely feel like I'm going to do whatever it takes to have their best interest in mind. And that's what works for me, right? And I know it's an unorthodox answer, but for me, that's been my bread and butter.
Yeah, I like that. That was a better answer than the other one for sure. I like that. What do you think your what do you think your conversion is at these listing appointments? You can't go 100%.
No, I wish I wish I could say I'm 100%, but in the real world, like non-investor world, it's somewhere between 65 and 70%.
Wow.
Yeah, if I'm in the listing appointment.
Mm.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Yeah, because I remember you lost one in Scripps Ranch a couple months ago. What do you, we could talk about it later, but what do you do in that instance? You just kind of wish them luck and follow the market and hope that their property never sells, or?
No, I wish them luck. And I still share my pre-listing packet. and I still sit in the sidelines. I've had other listings come back to me after they've listed with somebody else because it was all smoke and mirrors, right? And so, yeah, I mean, I try to deliver value at the end of the day. And I say, hey, look, here's my pre-listing packet. Make sure the agent that you hire is going to do all of these things. And this is your guidebook, right? It's something that can help you, Mr. and Mrs. Seller. And in the event it's not working out, you're not getting clear communication or good marketing strategies, or obviously you didn't get your house sold, feel free and reach back out to me. I'd love to be, of service to you. And again, you could either be pissed off about it, or you could figure out what you did wrong, get better on the next one, but also don't burn the bridge. So for me, I'm a pretty nice guy in general. And so any seller I meet with, like, I want them to win, whether it's with me or not, but I'd rather it be with me. And so I want them to know that I can execute. But at the end of the day, you win some, you lose some. I move on and help another person.
Yeah, I guess that's all you can do, right? Mike, Prisma said, would you be able to share the pre-listing package? He takes Venmo and he does take Zelle. So is Venmo? I don't even know your Venmo, but we'll shoot it out. No, hit him up on Instagram or DM me or email me, and I'll get you connected with Mike. Yep. Prisma, he's in San Diego too. So
yeah, I know I met Prisma before, so you could shoot me a DM and I'll send it to her.
Yeah, cool. Sounds good. All right, guys, we got to take off. Mike's got a meeting in El Cajon, and I got a meeting down the street. We will see you next week. We're actually going to do, if anyone's interested, send me a message, but we're going to do like a live cold calling session in about an hour after my appointment. And we're going to jump on there with some of my cold callers and cold call some leads. We can't put it on YouTube because of privacy issues from last time. We got snitched on, Mike. We were doing cold calls on YouTube and someone snitched. So we had to take it down. But now we're going to do it on Zoom, like a private Discord. So email me or DM me. We'll get you on there. But I appreciate you guys being here. You know how to reach us. Let us know if you have any questions. Thanks, Mike.
Yeah, go crush it, guys. See you
later.
Thanks, Mike. See y'all.